If you're all set for the Q&A session, please type BIO, that's bring it on. I'll go for the next 30 minutes, probably answering the questions that you all have been asking. And if you have anything, you can please make sure to ask me through this link. I'm just sharing the link for all of you who are joining in. The first question for the day is Ranjit has this question. Let me share my screen. How few employees grow in their career exponentially? That's the first question. How many of you have this question in your mind? How is it that some people grow exponentially in their life and in their career? Yeah, so I just want to share some thoughts. Maybe I'm just going to go just think through this, and I'm going to answer this. The one of the one of the biggest reasons, like you would have seen people growing exponentially, like, and you might be wondering, how are they doing it? How are they doing it every single day in their life, in their career? For example, can you let me know who's your idol when it comes to sports? Who do you follow and idolize in your life? Who's that person you look up to? Please share the names here in the chat, in the comment box. So you know what? You'll be kind of thinking, how are they doing it? The very first thing you have to understand is, people um, who grow really fast, they have very high levels of internal drive, motivation, and agency. Everyone, please type agency in the chat box. So they have internally, they are kind of very highly driven. They have high levels of motivation. They have strong goals that are very clear of, and more than anything, they believe, they trust that they can create positive changes in their life, in their career. They think they can be those agents of change, of positive change, which means they also have that quality of optimism. They are all optimists who kind of play the long term game, don't give up and keep at it. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the first quality you will see in people who grow exponentially is, of course, they're self-driven. They have high levels of motivation. They have strong goals. And more than anything, they trust and believe that they can get it done. Like, some qualities, these are some of the qualities that you will see in them. Okay, that's the first part to this. The second part, like what makes someone grow exponentially is, a lot of them, they truly get and understand the fact that you can't do everything all by yourself. You raise your hand, ask for help, you get coached, you get mentored, you get that necessary help needed, because alone we may be strong, but together we are even more stronger. Okay, so again, if you're here watching this video, if you're part of the Career Excellence Hub community, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not because you chose to be here inside my community, inside our community, but the thing is, you understand the importance of getting coached and trained and mentored. Yeah, so that's the second quality that you will see in people who kind of exponentially grow. Okay, if you got it, just type yes. The third one you will most definitely see is they have a very strong peer group. They have the right peer group, rather than, I wouldn't want to call it strong, but they have the right peer group where they're constantly kind of thinking and trying to understand, what group should I put myself into so that I can grow the fastest. How many of you understand the importance of your environment, because your environment is stronger than your willpower? And of course, people say, right, like, you're the sum total of the 4 or 5 people you hang out with. Of course, your sum total of the 4 or 5 people you constantly interact with, you kind of follow, the habits that they have, that have made them successful and all of that, right? So you kind of grab their mindset, the way of the way they think, so many other aspects that you grab onto. Okay, so that becomes the third important factor. What do you think can be the fourth one? One of the studies that my mentors, and we all did inside the High Performance Institute to see what actually creates long term success in our lives. And of course, if you're here in this community, you will see me talking and getting back to this critical thing. Any guess what it is? Please type habits in the chat box. More than anything, more than the current financial situation that you are in, more than the personality traits that you might be having, more than how your childhood was. Okay, more than a lot of these factors, the strongest factor that determines if you are going to be successful in your career or not is are your habits. Okay, so you will see very strong reflection of those habits in people who exponentially grow in their life and in their career. Okay, so that's the, I think that we are in point number 4 here. um Point number 5, um, what I want to say is, people who exponentially grow, they understand the importance of skill building, and they're constantly, they strategically build their skills. It's like it's not like randomly they do. They work on one skill, they master that skill, and they keep going forward. Okay, please type mastery in the chat box, because that's the fifth point that I want to share with all of you here. If you want to grow and grow exponentially in your life, in your career, mastery, like getting into that mastery level of specific skills, where you niche down and become an expert in that one area, that can kind of help you reap rewards. Okay. If you got it, just type yes, got it in the chat box. Superb. So that becomes the thank you, Srinivas. Nice to see you. And all of you who are just joining in, please type I'm here, because there's some I exactly there is some problem with Zoom. I don't see the list of attendees here. So just type I am here so that I know you're here. Superb. Thank you. So on that note, let's get on to the next question. And if you're just joining me now, let me share the form so that you can drop your questions here. Okay, superb. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's the next question here. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so I just answered this first question for all of you here. Next question that Chandan has is this: how do I get rid of the fear of layoffs? How do I get rid of fear of unknown challenges that we encounter in work, especially in coding? Okay, I'll keep it a little generic so that it answers in case you have the same kind of question. Okay, how do I get rid of the fear of layoffs? By the way, how many of you have ever experienced that in your career? Just type me if at all you have gone through that experience of getting laid off. I've been there twice. Okay, I've gotten, okay, so I can see Srinivas, you mentioned that before also. I know that I've gone through that twice, and not a great feeling, not a great feeling to, kind of be in. But then how do you get out of that fear, right? You know, my strong kind of thoughts and opinion on that is, we will always see two kinds of people. Okay, there are two categories of people. One category, they say, hey, this government, they did not give the right rules, they did not set the right tax regime, therefore, my growth is not happening as much as I want. This company policy, it's not in place, it kind of sucks, I don't like this, therefore my growth is not happening the way I want it. You know what, my boss, not such a great boss to work with, doesn't kind of encourage me to grow and go beyond who I am, therefore my growth is not happening. One category of people, I've been there for a lot of time, until I realized, oh, there is another category where I can put myself into, where we all recognize that. Please type 1F in the chat box. There is one factor, again, that's an option, that's a choice. It's not like it's not a definitive factor. Again, we have to do the work, but there is one strong factor that we all have the capacity to control. Any guess what that is? We ourselves. There is one factor. So there are thousand different external factors, and I'm not nowhere saying that they do not have an impact on your growth, on your career. Of course, they all have, but there is one factor that you have control on. That's you. And in if I have to go a little deeper on that, there is one thing which is our own behaviors through the power of habits, that we have the capacity to control, we have the capacity to change, we have the capacity to course correct, get streamlined with our career, with our lives. Okay, so fear of layoffs, 80% of, probably, I don't know, I don't know the numbers, but what I feel is 70 to 80% of layoffs, the person who's getting laid off, they have they have no control over it. In fact, it's not because of them at all, it's not because of performance. A lot of times it's because the company made some decisions, it because they wanted to shut down a vertical, it becomes because some merger happened, and the company they're merging with, they said, we don't want this division, therefore lay them off, this number of employees, we can't keep paying them. There are so many other business decisions that results in layoff. How many of you know what I'm saying? Yeah, performance can be one of the factors, but not the only factor, right? So what I'm trying to tell you here is, um, doesn't matter what the situation is. How many of you know that market always has the demand, has the respect for experts? Please type yes, I know, if you know what I'm saying. So instead of fearing the layoff, you hone your skills, you hone your mindset, you hone the way you contribute online, offline, to your community, to your teams, in a way that people understand that you are a valuable individual. If you are valued, it doesn't matter. Even in fact, there was a situation when I was in a startup. We had close to 25 members. The team size became four after layoff. And I was one of the four persons who was not laid off in that situation. And so I've been in both ends of the spectrum where I've gotten laid off and I've not gotten laid off also. Why? Here in this situation where I did not get laid off was because I had built my expertise, I had built my authority in that domain, in that product, and people saw the value of retaining me there. Okay, so if you know what I'm saying, please type got it in the chat box. So uh, you don't have to. It's okay. See, we all we all have that kind of sense at the back of our head saying what's going to happen if the situation persists or something like that. That's absolutely fine. But what are you doing after that? That's something which we all have to think and work towards. Okay, so that's why inside our community we constantly look at how do we build that daily clarity, weekly clarity, how do we stay productive, how do we contribute better, how do we up our influence game, all of these factors which if you keep doing it, people, your company, they will see the value in you. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Chandan, thanks for asking that. How do I get rid of the fear of unknown? Again, don't try to control the unknowns, try to control the knowns. No, what are the known things here? Seek clarity, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, improve your energy, demonstrate courage. All these habits, right? Those are the things that we can control, our own habits. Control that, you will see things shifting in the long run and also in the short run. Okay, so that's my answer, Chandan. So thanks for asking. Let's go to the next question here. Procrastination and digital addiction. How many of you are dealing with that? Procrastination and digital addiction. Please type me in the chat box. I'm just kind of recalling that one equation that I had shared. Okay, I know there is a left hand side and right. I'll talk about that. But just let me know how many of you are dealing with digital distractions and procrastination. Please type me if at all you're dealing with it. So there is this equation that I came across, which I learned from my mentors, where they said, think of this. How many of you have done this? Therefore, LHS equals RHS in the chemistry classes. Give me a smiley if you have done it. You match up the equation. There is a left hand side, there's a right hand side, and you kind of equate all the match all of the, and say therefore LHS equals RHS, right? We all have done it. So there is an LHS to the uh, equation of life. There is a RHS. There's a right hand side to it. One part of it is you know please type D plus D in the chat box, which is drama plus distraction. Never, not going to go away anytime. Drama plus distraction, that becomes your left hand side. On the right hand side, you have, again, please type D and D in the chat box. You have your dreams, you have your desires. Okay. A little bit back to chemistry and physics class today. Okay. Bear with me on that. Physics was one of my favorite subjects. So I just want to give you that analogy. Okay. How many of you know that uh, more the mass, more the gravity of, let's say, a planet of an object? Yeah. The more mass it has, the more gravitational pull it tends to have, right? So just like that, if at all you're getting if you're getting into procrastination, and the other part is digital addiction, which is a kind of distraction, ask yourself this question: where am I putting the mass into? Where am I putting my energy into? Is it into drama and distraction that life throws at us, or where am I adding the weight into? Here, if you add weight into this, of course you're going to get pulled into this. Or am I adding weight into my dreams, my desires? If you have never done this, are you asking yourself, what is it that I actually want in the current context of my life, current context of my career? What should I be dreaming about? What are my desires? What kind of makes me, what should I work towards in the long run that will make me proud, that will make my family proud? Please self reflect on this if you are constantly getting distracted, constantly if you're getting pulled into those digital addictions. And you know what, I wouldn't, I can't blame you for that if at all you're getting into digital addiction, because well, someone got paid probably 2 million, $3 million per year to create habits forming products. YouTube, social media platforms, they're all products that are built to create or form habits. But we have to make the decision. It's a decision that we all have to make. Where am I going to pour my energy into? Dreams, desires, from this day onwards. Okay, if you're ready for it, please type dream, or just type I am a dreamer in the chat box. Whoever is going through distraction. So my what you can start off doing is every day write your top 10 goals. Doesn't matter how crazy it is. The crazier the goal, the more weight you're adding to your dreams and desires. Okay, please do that, and you will see that you will find the answer. Okay, go through that self discovery process. Okay, superb. Great. So Shida, thanks for asking that question. Let's go on to the next question. And if at all you have any questions, let me share the form link with you. Please drop your questions here. Okay, we're going through the Q&A section. Uday asks this evergreen evergreen question, right? Is doing MBA necessary, especially to eliminate the risk of getting jobless? I'm curious to know, what does this group think? How many of you are you've done your masters? Just type give me a me in the smiley, with a smiley. Yeah, if you've done your masters, or if you have done your bachelor degree like me, just type B in the chat box. Okay, so you know what? I learned from of course we are all part of the education systems, right? But the thing is, when you kind of go do the research and understand what was the purpose of this education system that we all have gone through, uh, how many of you kind of got the clarity of your life's purpose after going through education system? Type me if you have gone, if at all you've got that. How many of you kind of learned how to not be burnt out after going through the employment system. If you say me, you're a unique case study because 60% of working employees, working professionals, they go through burnout symptoms every single day. How many of you understand, how can we be influential after going through your technical education systems or even employment system? Unfortunately, the answer to all of this is a no. Because as I'm saying this, the purpose of the education system, the westernized form of education system, is not to help us, figure out about ourselves, about our life, about our career. It's not a kind of a journey of seeking or anything of that sort, right? It's built for a purpose, and it kind of gives out kind of same output, because they treat everyone as same, and the output kind of becomes the same. So we don't have clarity about our values. We don't have a kind of a vision that we have for ourselves. Because of the lack of all this, we don't sense that vibrancy in our life. How many of you know what I'm saying? Just type me in the chat box. So my answer to that is, um, there are one of the most important purpose of getting your master's degree is, of course, there are specific jobs which ask for that, right? Like if you want to get into specific management kind of roles, you need the MBA. For other roles, you need your bachelor degree and all of that. But the thing is, what I have experienced is, that's all the purpose of that degree, to tell them that, hey, I've done this, I've put in the efforts, I've gone through 3 years, 4 years of education, uh, and I've passed it out, and here is my certificate. But over and beyond that, uh, we need that experience, right? Like we need to be in the real world. By the way, how many of you felt that after joining your job, the education that you've kind of learned, you're probably using 5% or 10% of what you learned there? Give me a smiley again if you know what I'm saying. I'm barely using 5% of what I learned in my education system, in my employment, or even otherwise. So of course, if you take on a strict science kind of job or career, of course you'll be using physics, calculus, all of that. Otherwise, you know what it is, right? So we need more real life experience, and that comes with time, that comes with acquiring realistic knowledge and working with people, and a lot of other factors, right? So uh, my short answer is, you need the right degrees because certain roles demand it, but it's only limited to that. Maybe 5, 10, probably 10, 20% of what you learned is what you apply. But beyond that is your own desire to learn, desire to acquire more knowledge, desire to contribute, and all of that creates faster growth than just this. Okay, if you got it, just type yes in the chat box. Superb. The next question for the evening. Let's see what's coming up here. Um, Asia asks this question. So, not getting interview calls, feeling stuck, dry promotion, not happy with the promotion, which is with no designation and fair compensation, but giving work from home opportunity and no micro management. However, I'm also helpless as not getting any other opportunities. Okay. If you're not getting interview calls, my immediate question, if at all any of you are going through that, my immediate question is, first, the first step that goes through the scrutiny, right? It can be manual or automated process, either ways, is your resume, right? So you have to look at, is my resume matching with the job description where I'm applying for? That's the first thing, because that's your first touch point for that job opportunity. And of course, the next touch point is your covering letter. How many of you are how many of you are actually writing unique covering letters specifically for that company's that specific job opening? Please type me if you're doing that. Good. If you're not doing that, you have to start doing it, because that's one part of the thing. Okay. Okay, superb. If you're doing it, that then great. The other part of this is, um, there there was a study. I mean, in fact, uh, this is what one of my mentors said, and he's called as the godfather of influence. His name is Dr. Robert Cialdini. Millions of copies of his book is sold, and his book name itself is Influence. One of his students, he was not getting job interviews at all. He was applying for, let's say, 70 jobs, zero callbacks. But then he asked him to do one thing. After that, how many interview calls he started getting? If he's applying for 10 job positions, he started getting over 70 to 80% callbacks, which means 10 applied, 7 to 8 callbacks got. Before, he was applying for hundreds, he was getting zero callbacks. Can I give you all influence secret to get more callbacks for interviews? Just type BIO if you are ready to learn that. Okay. So the thing, it's an ethical way of influencing. Let me know through the chat box. How many of you get your birthday, you know, wishes on your birthday? Please type me if at all you get your wishes. Okay. By the way, let me enable so that you can please select everyone as you're sharing your messages so that you all can read yours. Okay. Please type me if you get your birthday wishes. Yeah. Just tell me one thing. Let's say someone posted on your Facebook wall, or someone posted on your social media platform saying, "Hey, happy birthday to you, all the best," and all that. Okay, someone posted like that, and then you hear someone at the door. You go and answer the door. You get a greeting card, and you open the greeting card. There is someone who has spent the time writing a greeting card for you, and they've signed off and they wished you well. Which one do you think adds more weightage in terms of what makes you feel even more happier? Of course, all wishes are welcome, but which one do you think will make you feel like, hey, this person cares about me? The one writing on randomly on social media platform, which is great, or you getting a personalized greeting card? We all know the answer, right? How does it feel when someone who cares about you writes you a handwritten letter? Because of the first code of honor that I spoke about, rehumanizing leadership, rehumanizing our connection with other fellow humans. So that was the tip that he was given. He utilized it. You know what he started doing? Instead of writing some random electronic cover letters for interviews, he started writing handwritten cover letters. Does it take time? It does. Does it ask you to spend a lot more time and make it a lot more personalized for the person who's reading it? Yes. Does it have higher chances of you getting the call back? Of course. So you have to figure out ways of how do you personalize connection with someone. Probably even they might not have ever heard about you. They might be looking at your name for the first time. How do you can you all share some ideas on what are some other ways to have that personal connect while you share your resume or while you share your covering letter? Please share, please select everyone in the chat box, and please learn from each other. Learn from each other's ideas here. I'm just keeping the question open here for all of you. What are some of the ways where you can create that personal touch or rehumanize communication while sharing your application form for interviews? Any thoughts? One other way that you all should be doing if you're not doing it is, how many of you have your own kind of professional photograph on your resume? How many of you have it? If you're not having it, you're missing out on a very important way of ethical influencing. That's one of the ways you can create that personal touch. It's not just a set of words. It's a human who's applying at the other end. And when people notice it, they get connected, they feel it, and you will have better chances of getting the call back. Okay. So how many of you are going to apply these techniques? Please type me in the chat box. This is part of our the micro performance habit of influence. Okay. If you got it, just type bulb on if you had a bulb on moment. Okay. Just type BO if you had a bulb on moment. So please think about these things and keep sharing how things are going for you. Okay. Superb. Next one, we have a little longer question. So let's see what's coming up. There are times where when I feel I'm not interested in the kind of work that I'm getting, and I feel very detached from my job, and I find myself questioning what am I doing. But at the same time, I know I have to get the things done. The conundrum makes me feel demotivated and pushes me into a rut. I find this very unproductive. How do I get myself out of this whenever I feel like this? So the question is, there are times that when Vikas feels I'm not interested in the kind of work that I do, but hey, you get paid, so better think about how can you get that done, right? So how many of you have that question? How many of you feel like it's like a uh, you don't have that emotional interest in what you do on a daily basis? Please type me if at all you feel it. Yeah, if at all you feel that. Um, uh, my mentor's mentor, okay, he conducts almost every day. He trains and he coaches people and all of this. Okay, and and couple of them, they're over 70 years of age. So one of them being 80 plus, and this man, he conducts workshops that runs 3 days continuously, 3 days. And throughout those 3 days, he doesn't even sit. And each session goes for 8 to 10 hours at a minimum. 8 to 10 hours. He stands, he delivers high energy, high vibrancy. And someone asked, give me all the tips for towards how do you stay this vibrant? What creates this level of energy for you? And people are expecting answers on diet, answers about sleep, answers about workout, and all of that. But he said none of that. One of them, he goes on to say that I live my top values every single day. Let that sink in for a minute for all of you. He said, I live my top values every single day, which means if you're not living your life in congruence with what really makes you feel good about yourself, what really makes you feel like, hey, this is what I want to do. If that alignment is missing, doesn't matter what you do, you will never have that feeling of fulfillment. If that makes sense, please type MS in the chat box. So if you're constantly feeling, hey, it's kind of a rut, it's kind of a every day it's the same day for me, it's time to look at your habit of everyone. Please type clarity in the chat box. That's exactly why last month when we completed our career-a-thon inside our community, what did we first work on? How many of you remember the first session? What did we work on? Value clarity, right? We all determined what are our top values. If you know what I'm saying, just type yes. And then we worked on, okay, let me understand myself a little bit. We did our personality exercise, right? We kind of understood what's my personality like. And then we understood what's my vision, what should I be doing with my life, with my career, what does my dream career look like. We worked on our legacy document. If you remember what I'm saying, just type yes. Because if you're feeling that, probably it can be one of the factors, can be probably the clarity is missing. That's why you don't feel that congruence anymore. Okay, please type and if you're not yet part of a community, anyone who's here, because I just opened up this session because it's a Q&A session, please type not yet in the chat box, because it's critical that we all work on that habit of clarity. And you know what that habit is actually called as? It's not called build clarity, it's called seek clarity. Everyone please type SC in the chat box. Seeking clarity. And you know what, the fun fact, seeking never ends. There is no end to the level of clarity that you can keep gaining for yourself. You can keep gaining about other people, you can keep gaining about the whole world. That's why that's the first habit that we all practice, seeking clarity. Okay, if that makes sense, please type MS in the chat box. Vikas, thanks for asking. I hope that answers your question. Okay, superb. So now let's go on to the next question. And uh, let me try and go a little faster here. The next question Saurabh asks is, very high energy person bogged down with super high responsibilities and expectations, blocking me from achieving my career and side hustle, self learning goals, sometimes lack of time, sometimes lack of energy, and most times fear of the future. How do I manage this? The first thing, he opens this question by saying, very high energy person, he's talking about himself, bogged down with super high responsibilities. Okay. Interesting question, right? Interesting question. Just thinking through this. So the immediate thought that I got after reading that is, let me ask all of you this question. Okay, ready for it? So my question is, if you remove the factor of time, let let's say you have a goal. Okay, how many of you have goals? Something, it may not be the very most clear goals, but you have some goal that you're working towards, right? Let's say you remove the factor of time that you need to achieve that goal within within the time frame. If you remove that factor of time, how many of you would feel that it's a great sigh of relief for me? I need to become a manager within the next 1 year. Great goal to have. Please keep that as a goal. But remove that factor of time. I need to work towards becoming, let's say, a manager in this organization or even somewhere else. That's the goal. But a lot of times what I see is we have 10, 20 different goals. We want to achieve this, we want to have this financial goal, we want to have this life goals, we want to have this experience goal, and so on and so forth. And a lot of them have unrealistic time bounds. If you know what I'm saying, just type yes in the chat box. So for a moment, just remove all the time that you need to achieve this goal within. It might sound, for all of you, it might sound counterintuitive coming from a internationally certified high performance coach, because of course we look at things in a time bounded manner. That's the only um, that's the most dwindling resource that we all have, time, right? The thing is, remove that factor of time from lot of things that are actually not relevant to this at the current context of your life. If you can just do that, just focus on one thing in a month, one thing in a quarter. Focus on that, just that one thing. Try and achieve that one goal, and don't be bogged down with all the things going on in your social media platforms, within your family, the pressure that they are trying to add. Don't get bogged down by that, but work on that one thing that's going to. Okay, let me ask you all this question. There will always be that one goal which will make everything else easier in your life. Let's say 3 months at a given time. Okay, let's say November, December this year, there'll be that one thing. If you work on it, it will improve every other thing in your life. For some of you, it might be getting that 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. For some of you, it might be not skipping your breakfast. For some of you, it might be that 15-minute of sun walk that you have to go out and just have in the morning. For some of you, it might be to just call, talk to people you love every single day, 5 minutes, be in that zone, be present with them, just enjoy the moment. What is it for you for November, December? Do that one thing. Don't get bogged down by everything that's going on. Okay, so I'm curious to know what is it for you. By the way, for me, it's that getting that deeper 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's what I'm working towards. Okay, I'm kind of gone a little crazy on that, not getting that enough sleep. So I'm actually working towards building that habit. By the way, I have my own accountability partner who checks in with me on that. So inside our community, I'll also be creating accountability partners for all of you a little later on. But just think of that one thing that you want to work on next 2 months. Close the year strong. Okay, don't get bogged down. Take one thing at a time. Okay, if that makes sense, just type MS in the chat box. So as much as we talk about productivity, we talk about getting things done, all of that. Uh, my my strong advice is see see how can you actually slow down. See how can you actually slow down. Take time for yourself. Don't get into that zone of burnout. Take things a little easy. Be a little easy on yourself. Okay. Just type yes, just type will do in the chat box. So that's my answer to that question. Good. The next question, maybe we'll go on for next 5 more minutes, and we'll take continue in the next week. Neeraj Sharma has this question. Okay, Neeraj Sharma asks, "What exactly am I lacking in my professional life?" What do you think? There is a standard answer that I have for lot of different problems that we all face. By now, you probably know what it is. So the question that Neeraj Sharma has asks is, what exactly am I lacking in my professional life? Any guess? If you're part of the community, I've been screaming every single week about this. Please type MPH in the chat box. Clarity about what habit should you build? What are those habits? Seek clarity, raise psychological necessity, work on your energy. First three becomes your personal habits. Then transition to social habits. Your productivity, generate courage, develop influence. Demonstrate courage, develop influence. If you can just work on these 6 habits, again, don't take everything all at once, one at a time. Work on that. You will see professionally, personally, things shifting and getting better. Okay, that's the easiest answer and the most simplest answer I can give, because I can go on and keep explaining about leadership qualities. I can talk about your mindset and all of that. All of that is great, but at the core of things, it all boils down to our habits. Okay, if you got it, just type yes. So that's my answer, Neeraj. Thanks for asking that question. Super. Let's see. I'll go a little faster on the other questions. About the course, I'm not exactly sure what Zayadin asks, but let's see. Let's get back to that. Vivek asks, stuck in same position from past 8 years. I request you to guide me to come out of that. Okay, stuck in the same position from the past 8 years. So my question is, if you're stuck in the same position for last 8 years, um, I just want to, I just want you to look at it, look back, and ask yourself, where did I not take a courageous step forward? A lot of times, um, and it may be a factor of courage. It may be something to do with taking a little bit more risk in our life, in our career, or it might be that we just got comfortable. Probably the whole environment is like this. How many of you know that there are certain organizations where the whole team, the bigger teams, the whole vertical has people who have worked there for probably 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. Give me a smiley if at all you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So the thing is, even your environment kind of redirects who you are becoming. So if you're in that kind of an environment, nothing wrong, as long as you feel okay, you want to do this, you feel challenged, you're learning skills, you're growing, uh, you know that you're contributing at the next level and all of that. Great if you're experiencing all of that, of course, financial gains as well. But if you're not doing that, if you're not experiencing it, probably you have closed down the boundary around yourself, and you're not trying to understand what's outside of this, right? So it's time for you to explore and understand, what do you want to do next. You've been in this role for 8 years, that's great, but has it helped you improve as a person? Has it helped you become more influential? Has it helped you achieve your financial goals? If the mandatory things that are important to you, for a lot of them, it can be just work life balance. They're okay with the income that they're having because they have more time for themselves, and they're absolutely okay with that. But if those top three things are not a tick for you, and you're still in the same position, then probably it's time to own up, reach out to people and see what you want to do next. Okay, if that makes sense, please type MS in the chat box. Please type MS. All right. So Indranil, I'll share the recording so that you can watch that answer again. Okay, I'll share the recording for our community members. And some of you who are not yet part of the community, please type NY if you're not yet part of the Career Excellence Hub, because this is a community call which I invited some of you into so that you know what we do a lot of times here. Superb. 16th, I'm not productive at workplace. So that's what Pushkar says. Um, so one of the things we have to understand when it comes to productivity is this. On over and beyond the checklists and the to-do lists and everything that we all have, I'm more curious to know, what is your philosophy about productivity? So can you all please share in the chat box? When it comes to productivity, what's your philosophy? What drives your productivity deep down? What's the core philosophy that you look back at when it comes to productivity? Think about it. Probably it's a journaling activity for all of you who kind of struggle with productivity, because we all know we need the right plan, we need the right clarity, we need the right priority and all of that. But still, if productivity is not in place, you need to ask yourself, what is it for me? For me, when I journaled about this, productivity is not just about getting things done, but it's also, am I experiencing more positive ranges of emotions when I am doing certain work? For example, connecting with all of you here really kind of makes me feel alive. This is a very high productive activity for me, because internally it makes me feel really good to connect with all of you, to help answer all of your questions. So that's one of the philosophies that drives my productivity. Like that, what is it for you? What philosophies should you, if you don't have one, that's okay, you can take on philosophies from someone else, but you need to know, what is it for you? What's your deeper why when it comes to you becoming productive? Start there, and then we'll work through, like every Monday we do this, right? Like we work on our priorities, we work on our mindset, and the next level to that is, we create our war maps, and the next level to that is, there are more higher and higher levels of things that we can do, okay, when it comes to productivity. But for today, your activity is figuring out your philosophy when it comes to productivity. How many of you are going to do this? Please type will do in the chat box. Work on this as a journaling activity today, and see what comes out through that. Okay, super. All right, James asks this question, probably the last question for today. Um, can age be a determinantal factor to one's career progression, and if so, how and why? Can age be a determinantal factor? How many of you know people who have became insanely successful in their 50s, in their 60s? in their 70s. Type me if you know someone, like you would have read about them in the internet or anything, right? There was this study done, okay? There was this study done which said, how many of you know the marshmallow test? This type MMT, if at all you have come across that. So kids, like very young kids, they were given marshmallows in a bowl. There was one marshmallow placed in front of them. There were for 4 or 5 kids. And they said the instruction is, if you don't eat this marshmallow for the next 10 minutes, you will be given one more marshmallow. Few kids said, I don't care, I just need this one thing. They ate. Few other kids, they didn't eat for 10 minutes. They were given one more. Then after 10 minutes, they were said, okay, whoever did not eat and you got the second one, if you wait for 10 more minutes, I'll give you one more marshmallow. So the goal, the idea of this experiment was to see uh, who is not going to succumb to that instinctive behavior, but who's going to play, who's ready to play the long term game. Okay, who will endure more, so that they can experiment, they can look at how their life was. The experiment said, which was conducted maybe 70, 80, 90, 100 years back, the experiment said, uh, kids who didn't eat the marshmallow at the first place, who kind of uh, restrained themselves, who showed that level of endurance, uh, they had higher success rates in their life, in their career, over the long term. But the thing is, um, you know, late recently, when my mentors, who are we, as we are all part of the High Performance Institute, so when we did the research, we got to know that actually that was never a factor. Some of the kids who actually had who ate that marshmallow at the first place, you know what they figured out? They were probably not from a kind of a financially strong kind of a background. Their family did not have the enough financial strength or capacity. So in their mind, they always had that thought or that mindset of scarcity. I don't know what's going to happen after 10 minutes. I have something in front of me which I'm seeing for the first time ever. Let me grab it and eat it. And you know what? The recent studies, they said your how you fared, how well you did in the marshmallow test had no correlation towards your career success over the long term. What your personality traits were, personality traits, like there are 16 different personality traits. Your personality traits had no correlation towards your long term success. So we looked at those tests, we looked at your financial situations, we looked at your personality traits, we looked at all these factors. But the biggest thing that influenced if or not someone is going to be successful in the long term or over the long term in their career or in their life was, any guesses? I would love to hear some right answers from our community members. Any guesses? What had the strongest correlation towards your long term success? Your habits, your micro performance habits. So, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to go through and build your habits, keep at it over the long term, that had the strongest correlation towards your success. So, the answer for you, James, can age be a determinantal factor? My answer is no. But your habits for sure are. They are the most important determinantal factors towards you. Either you're going to become successful or not in your career. And it's not my own thoughts, it's backed by studies, it's backed by research. Okay. So if you know what I'm saying, just type got it in the chat box. So there we go. That's the last question the the day, for the week. So we've probably come to the close. So what was your biggest takeaway through all these questions that you just heard and that you saw me answering? What was it for you? Can you all please share in the comment box, the chat box here? I'm curious to know, like, what was your bulb on moment listening to the answers, listening to the questions. Please reflect, because the more you reflect, the more clarity you build. The more clarity you build, the more self aware you become. The more self aware you become, the higher your chances of changing the situation. Again, back to the habit of clarity. Okay, so please reflect, and please learn from each other on what are your biggest takeaways from this Q&A session here. Okay, and if you're not yet part of the community, please drop me an email. I'll just drop all of you this my email address, email ID. If you're not yet part of the community, and if you understand the importance of what we do towards building our micro performance habits, and if you're keen on that, if you're someone who's very keen on building your own habits, as I said, which has the strongest correlation to to the long term success, please let me know here. Okay, drop me a mail and I will get in touch with you. Okay, Srinivas asks, make sure to give a thought about your dreams and desires whenever you are getting distracted. Absolutely. So that's your biggest takeaway. Superb. So yeah, always look at it. What part am I feeding to my dreams and desires, or drama and distraction? You like it or not, you like it or you may not like this, but let me anyway say this to you. Your own spouse is going to draw you into their drama. I'm not saying don't be available for them. No, that's not what I'm saying. But that's not going to help them first, and that's not going to help you. You like it or not, your team members, your management, your kids, they're all going to draw you into their drama, knowingly or unknowingly, for no mistake of theirs. But then you have to become aware of it. You have to help them. You have to help yourself get out of that. Like it or not, as much as the smartphones are our best friends, they can also become our greatest enemies. They can suck away our time, our energy, our focus. More than anything, it makes you compare yourself with others. You may never be aware of that, but internally it kind of diminishes our own self esteem. So please be aware of that. Okay, great takeaway, Srinivas, thanks for sharing that. So yep, there we go. Towards the end of this, I hope that answered some of your burning questions, and I hope that kind of now helps you build your momentum towards your career and your life. And we'll keep doing this the next week also, Q&A session. So again, thank you for being here. Thanks for all the community members. And if you're, as I said, if you're not yet part of the community, uh, be part of it. Be part of building the right habits. Be part of a group which constantly understands the importance of building their micro performance habits. So on that note, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for learning something great. Thank you all. Good night and have a great rest of the week. All the best. Bye bye.